Hello Animorphs fans and welcome back to the Animorphs Reviews YouTube channel. Today, are you coming up now on a fluff? Come on. She's just staring up at me like, come on, cat. Come on, up here. There we go. Today on the Animorphs Reviews YouTube channel, we're going to be ranking the alien races, the alien civilizations that we've come across. Few of the rules going into this, we're only ranking essentially sentient alien civilizations, so like the Lurdithak or various other things that Vista 3 morphs occasionally, like once. We're not including that. We're not including humans, which is something that you thought about earlier, Pebble. And
Lurdithak wasn't sentient though.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
That's what I said. I said things that we're not including things that aren't sentient, essentially. I don't think. But anyway, let's look through these aliens and put them on the list. So it's in alphabetical order, and some of these are just placeholder images. So this one, for example, I looked up Anati on the Google Images page, and funnily enough, there are no actual artist renditions of what an Anati looks like, but there was one person on like an Animorphs Dungeons and Dragons wiki who used this image as a placeholder for the Anati, describing them as lizard people, essentially. Now, the Anati are a very funny one because we never see them. We never actually see them, but they're mentioned numerous times, and actually, they were quite important when it came to the shenanigans we didn't see going on in the background regarding the Yeerks and the Andalites. So there was a war going on with the Anati or whatever. The Yeerks went over there to see if they could infest them, but they were having all sorts of problems. They sent Vissa 1 up there to sort the Anati out, but she failed. But they also tried to convince the Andalites that they were more powerful up there than they actually were, meaning the Andalites would stay up there rather than come down to Earth, but they eventually did. So there's a whole load of stuff with the Anati going on that we just aren't really given clues to. But I find them fascinating for that reason. We don't really know what went on there. But they're also quite useful to the plot, even though they were never actually there. It's like is it dark matter? You never actually see, you don't really see anything that goes on with it, but the scientists are just like, we know it's there. We know the frick it's there. That's what the Anati are, and I love it. I'm going to put it in superb imagination. By the way, the tiers: favourite, superb imagination, good addition to the series, no opinion either way, forgettable, and why do these exist? Those are the categories we've got. So next on the list is Andalites. Now, yeah, it's up there. It's got to be in the favourite category. It's the iconic Animorphs alien race, and yeah, it involves a superb imagination, but the scene at first is just these saviours, these good guys and what have you. It turns out they're actually a bit dickish. At least a lot of them are, specifically like the military, but there's a lot of good Andalites, and there's a bit of, yeah, it's great. A brilliant group of aliens, and I just think they're great. They're in my favourite well, I don't know. I think my favourite, actually, I'll save that for a single one. It probably will end up being the Andalites, but only one can go in the favourite category. So for now, just for now, you're going in superb imagination. The Arn, the creators of the Hawk-Bajir. Quite prominent in the Hawk-Bajir Chronicles, and then again in Book 34. I think they were alright. They were certainly secondary to the Hawk-Bajir. They were just sort of an explanation for why the Hawk-Bajir were around and their whole backstory. So, it's either no opinion either way or good addition to the series. Do I think they were a good addition? Yeah, I say that the series benefits from the Arn being there as part of the backstory to the Hawk-Bajir and the few little bits of shenanigans they get up to. Yeah, I'm going to put them there. The Capucins. The Capucins. That was the alien race that went to destroy the Ketrans because they got confused by the video game that Tumin was playing, if I remember correctly. That's how it goes, isn't it, my dear?
Yeah, they thought that was real and they were really killing people.
They thought it was real and that they were really killing people. And I actually I like that storyline. I think that's That's a great bit of sci-fi and a great bit of writing. And the Capucins, of course, play an essential part in that. Would I say that it's a superb imagination? Not really. I think they were useful and necessary to that plot. But honestly, no idea. Do I like them? Not really. Do I dislike them? No. So it's got to go into the no opinion either way category. The Capucins. Right, the Chi. The Chi, okay? They're certainly not forgettable. I certainly have no opinion either way. I don't like the Chi, and I don't really have a category for that. They're certainly not why do they exist, because I know why they exist. Now, honestly, it's good having something in a series that you can go at. You can and the idea of these holograms, I wouldn't say it's superb imagination, because honestly, the Chi were a bit flawed. They're a bit too powerful. I'm going to keep them in the good addition to the series category, because honestly, they did move a lot of plots along, and in some ways, they're actually very well used. They were a bit OP, and that created some plot holes at times, which were a problem. And I just didn't like them because they were double-crossing bastards. But either way, I think the Chi belongs in that category. What's this? The Diang. Forgettable. I think there was like a ship, and they made a deal with the Yerks. Maybe for... Yeah, forgettable. I've forgotten what they did. The Five. The freaking... I think those are the ones that melted the Vember. And then the Andalites wiped them out. We never saw them. Honestly, for most people, probably forgettable. The Ged. The Ged.
Very important.
Would you say they're very important?
They're extremely important. The Yerks wouldn't have been able to do anything if they hadn't started with them.
What was the first alien race they infested?
Good.
According to the series, it's the Nahara.
After they left the planet.
After they left planet. Well, see, she's actually the real Animorphs #1 fan. I'm number 2. She's number 1. And she's actually right. So yeah, the Geds were important. They were certainly important. Were they a good addition to the series?
They were kind of required.
They didn't do anything. They were just sort of there.
They were the first thing that made the Yerks hungry for more. Once they got that little taste of sight and...
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah, it sort of fits into the same category as the Arn, in that they didn't really do much themselves, but they were a good backstory for one of the major races. Yeah, I agree with you there. You're the ultimate Ged person. You can be the Ged #1 fan.
No, I'm alright. Thanks. They're kind of creepy.
Graffin's children, described as looking like a Gumby. Do you remember what a Gumby is? They were solely in the series to be red shirts, so we just saw what happened to them when the Howlers came across them.
They can be forgettable.
It's sort of verging on no opinion either way, because the scene they were in was actually quite memorable. I wouldn't say they're forgettable, but we don't really see anything of them, so no opinion either way. What the hell is this one? That is the Horgebran, known for having
The multiple brains.
multiple brains.
Or, well,
And
one brain that's like...
one brain that's cough, yeah. She's still ill, by the
It's
way.
in different parts of their bodies, the Yerks couldn't infest them.
Yeah, and the Horgebran... Is it Axe said that the Horgebran freighter looks like the Enterprise?
Yeah.
I'd say largely forgettable. They didn't do anything, really. The Helmicrons. You know what? I'm going to put them as a good addition to the series. Let's just ignore 42. Book 42 does not exist. Doesn't exist. Book 24 was a good addition to the series. It was enjoyable. And yeah, the idea of the Helmicrons at that stage didn't annoy me, and actually quite liked that. So I'm going to just about they get into a good addition to the series, the Helmicrons. Hawk-Bajir, superb imagination, straight in there with the Andalites. That's great. The Howlers, superb imagination, I'd say. They were, I mean, they're only really in one book, but it was a fantastic book, and largely because they were so intimidating and so menacing, and they were fantastic. Yeah, I really like the Howlers. What's this? Escort. Sort of intertwined with the Howlers. I wouldn't say they're as good as the Howlers, though. They're certainly not as impressive.
I feel like the Escort were put in, and they meant to add something with them later, but they never got around to it.
Really?
Because the element said someday, in many years, when the Yeerks finally find them.
Ah, but he did say 300 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of out of the scope of the series. Now, I think they're a good addition to the series. I liked the Escort. I wouldn't put it in superb, but yeah, I think they're pretty good. Probably just above the Helmicrons and the Geds, I'd say. In fact, get in front of the Chi as well, Escort. Yeah, that's right, I'm ordering them now. Get over it. And if that's the case, I'm going to put the Diang last in that group.
Can we put Fluffer in her own category?
Fluffer? I haven't got a picture of Fluffer.
I can get you one.
I got a picture of Vinarx. Actually, you, Fluffer, you're a Vinarx. Kelbrids, which, on this picture, forget the Tobias half, it's the purple half. Kelbrid, we never saw them, but they were important in the last scenes of the book, because that was going to be the next mission. They were going to go into Kelbrid space, and they'd probably end up finding the Kelbrids. I've taken a lot of advantage of that particular loose end when it comes to fan fiction, and for that reason I'm biased. I love the Kelbrids because I've developed a whole thing for them. But I can't put it in superb imagination. As far as the series goes, probably no opinion either way, because we never see them. We understand that they're important. I'm going to put it in just about into the good addition to the series, because I like how the series ends, and that's largely because of the whole Kelbrid thing. I like it. Ketrans. Good addition to the series. Better than those two. Better than the Geds, I'd say. Probably better than the... yeah, so I think actually the Ketran goes right up there. I think... do we even put in superb imagination? Because a whole crystal thing was brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to put Ketran into superb imagination because... yeah, the opening stuff with the Almas Chronicles was beautiful. Loved it. It was great. Lyrans.
How many years did it take you to watch that or read that?
Quite a few, but I got there in the end, didn't I? Lyrans. I think they were a bit OP, and that's why they never really showed up again. Honestly, I'm not sure I even really liked them. I'm going to put them in no opinion either way, but just sort of squeeze them in front of the Capucins there. Yeah, I just didn't really get along with the Lyrans. I don't know why. Makora. Very much like the Lyrans. No opinion either way, really. I mean, In the Time of the Dinosaurs was a good book, but the Makora and the Nesk weren't really why I really liked that book. They were just sort of there. As far as I'm concerned, which is why I'm going to put the Nesk in next to Makora. Makora definitely above the Nesk. Mortron. The alien with wheels. Yeah, no opinion either way again. Sort of in the range of the Nesk and the Makora, just sort of there, existed for a little bit. Nartek. Is this where I'm going to get controversial? Good addition to the series. In fact, I'd rate them above the Helmicrons. Would I rate them above the Geds? Probably, actually. I wouldn't rate them as high as the Chi. I like the Narteks. I like that story. And in very much the same way that I like the Helmicrons for just being sort of filler. In fact, yeah, the Helmicrons were definitely filler. At least the Nartek book had some character stuff in the background to go on with. Yeah, just exploring the universe a bit more. Another little thing. A lot of people say it didn't really feel like Animorphs, but it's freaking sci-fi with people turning into animals. Yeah, and Queen Soko was awesome, but yeah, that's that. Ongatchik. I like the design. So got someone's done like a big muscly one and like a weedy one. They were like space travelers, like space minstrels, and something about them I just like. So it's at the very end of the good addition to the series. They've got a fun little backstory, even though it's very, very limited. It's just the Yeerks couldn't invade them because what's the point? Because they just spread out everywhere to get away from the Yeerks, and they just couldn't grab hold of them all. I like the Ongachik, and I wish we'd explored more of them, really. Orf, good addition to the series. Not prominent enough to go into superb imagination, but I'm going to put them before the Arn. Or sort of very, very similar level of enjoyment for me. The Orf and the Arn. I really like the Orf, just the idea of them. It helps as well that they were in such a good book. That's probably adding to... That probably makes a bias towards them, but yeah, I enjoyed their addition to the series. The Pemalites. We never see them. Very similar to the Arn being the creators of the Hawk-Bajir, even though we actually do see the Arn. And the Geds being a backstory to the Yeerks and what have you. Yeah, Pemalites are the same thing. Good addition to the series. They sort of just go hand in hand with the Chi, really, except they weren't as double-crossy as the Chi. So just a bit above the Chi. Not as good as the Escort. Bit better than the Nartex, just simply by the fact that they had more of an impact. Now, Skrit Na. The Space Pirates, my dear. The Space Pirates, which... Before I did my adult reread of the series, I thought there was more of these things. I thought the Skrit Na had a bit more of a part to play. Turns out they didn't really. They're basically just in the Andalite Chronicles. Were they in the actual Animal series?
I think Axe mentioned them.
Axe might have mentioned them. Because I was sure when I did my Animal... Before I did my adult reread, I thought the Skrit Na had more of a part to play, but it turns out they didn't. Which, to me, makes it seem as if they're actually quite memorable. Because why else would I think that? I think they're a good addition.
I think they're one of the first aliens that you meet in space, so it's kind of...
Yeah, possibly. But I'm going to put them in good addition to the series. They were a bit of fun. They weren't, like, offensive. They weren't like the Garrotron, which I'm not even going to freaking dignify with talking about. Taxons. Good addition to the series. I'm going to be controversial and rate it below the Orf. Because Taxons were just cannon fodder, really, weren't they? I mean, they felt like a threat for like the first 10 pages, and then it was just like, could beat them to death with a sponge. So yeah, they're a bit of a letdown, really. And I didn't like the Andalite Chronicles where they featured quite prominently. But overall, yeah, they were a good addition to the series. Certainly nothing wrong with them being there. Just could have been done better, I think. What's this? The Unamites. You know the Unamites are, don't you? Pebble?
What?
Unamites? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, it rings a bell, but I don't remember why.
It was the group of aliens that he had to play the Adj to. Tumin. He had to please the Unamites. Honestly, no opinion either way. Probably put them above Graffin's children. Actually, I'm going to move the Capucins above... Just below the Lyran, actually. I want to move that one up a bit. The Valik. The Valik from Saturn. It's not as bad as the Garrotron. It shouldn't exist. I mean, just logically. I know I told you off earlier for applying logic to the series. Regarding the... What was it? Logic. Oh, the Nartex. No, I wasn't telling you off. I was telling the fans off. I get confused. That's fine. Do I get a kiss later? Cool. So, yeah, the Valik. I wasn't a great fan of it. And logically, it just... From Saturn, it just sort of broke my immersion a bit. Yeah, I don't really want it. It goes in the wides of these exist. That is the Vember. the ones that melted. I'd say a good addition to the series, but not as memorable as the Skritinar, certainly. But we actually saw them, which we didn't for the Kelbrids and the Ongatchik, so it goes a bit above them. Last two now. Let's do the Yeerks. Of course, Superb Imagination. It's the big antagonist for the series, and they kept us enthralled for the whole thing, so it goes up there. I will order these, by the way, in a minute. The Vanarks, or Yeerkbane. Forgettable. I mean, not as forgettable as the rest of these ones in this category, but yeah, not many people are going to remember that one. It sort of borders on Graffin's Children, really. It's certainly in the upper echelons of forgettable. Okay, so that is that. Now I've got to choose a favourite and order these ones. So let me just bring this in here. Let's do this properly, shall we? Okay. So, we've got 6 aliens in that top category. Firstly, Anati, bottom of the Superb Imagination category. We never saw them. It can't possibly be my favourite. They were fantastic. But it's definitely the lowest in this particular category. What else have we got here? Howlers, Ketrans, Yeerks, Hork-Bajir, Andalites. Ooh, Howlers are not my favourite. The favourite is between Andalites and Hork-Bajir, so these are going to be the top 2. So let's just, for now, put them both there. Yeerks, Ketrans, and Howlers. I think Howlers are next down there. In fact... Ooh. Yeah, I actually prefer the Anati to the Howlers. Just what my brain is telling me now. Anati to go above the Howlers, so that's those two. Who do I like better out of the Ketrans and the Yeerks? Honestly, Ketrans. I don't know. Just sort of biased towards the Yeerks simply because they were there for longer. But in terms of interest and intrigue, I think the Ketrans have a bit more going for them. Yeah. So I'm going to put the Ketrans there. So, it's between Hork-Bajir and Andalite for favourite. I know where you would go. Pebble likes the Andalites best. Do I like the Andalites best? Certainly there's more political intrigue about them, which I typically like. The Hork-Bajir are a bit more monotonous. Is that the right word? They, not monotonous. Is it monogamous? Basically, there's so like humans, right? You have your extremes of personality over this side, and they got the opposite extreme way over there. Massive big difference. Hork-Bajir are very similar. The range of personalities is much smaller. Whereas Andalites strike me as very much like human, massive personality range. You get all sorts of different characters, which means you get some awful Andalites, but then you get some really nice Andalites, like proper lads that you go for a beer with, you know, that sort of thing. Do you reckon Andalites drink beer?
Probably.
Probably, okay. But Andalites, a lot of them are dicks as well. Basically, this is asking, Pebble, do you prefer humans or pandas?
Pandas.
You prefer pandas? Well, you say you like the Andalites more than Hork-Bajir. But that's basically the question to me. Well, pandas are so, you know, they're lovely. It's pandas. But then humans, you know, I wouldn't be able to survive. I'd be able to survive without the... You know, you see what I'm getting at, okay? Right, my camera's going right up power any minute now, so I'm going to have to choose. And it's... help me.
Andalites.
And just because of Pebble, she just edges me towards Andalites. There's my list. That's my favourite alien ranking. And I hope you join me. So tell me what your ranking would look like, vaguely. I mean, obviously you can forget some of the more forgettable ones, but... And there are a few other aliens I'm pretty sure this covers all the notable alien civilizations throughout the series, and a couple more. But yeah, let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Ranking the Animorphs Aliens. I'm going to go before my camera deserts me. So thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time. Ta-ra. That was weird, wasn't it, Fluffer?